Hi everybody, FPL Witty here, back for another of my regular FPL videos. Hope you're well. Recording this during the international break, so we're still some way to go during the international break, so lots can change, but it's a nice sunny morning out here in the Yorkshire countryside, so thought I'd get out and get some fresh air and have a bit of a chat. Helps me as well get my thoughts together, because lots of decisions to make now over the next few days. So I'm recording this between game week 28 and game week 29 during the international break. So hope you're enjoying your international football. Personally, I'm not a fan apart from the major tournaments. I'd much rather have my FPL. So, but at least it's a bit of a break from the stresses, and we can't get a red arrow, can we, when we've got no football? So that's all good. So all eyes are, I suppose, initially on the international break, but we'll have a look back briefly at game week 28, and we'll have a look forward to game week 29, because it's certainly going to be an eventful one. It's the biggest double game week of the season. We've got 12 teams with a double game week. There'll be a lot of people playing bench boosts, I think, as well over the international break or after it. So certainly lots to digest. So we'll try and cram that into 15 minutes as usual. So yeah, quick look back at game week 28 first of all. If you recall, seems a long time ago, doesn't it? But it was a blank game week because it was the FA Cup quarter-final weekend. So we only had 7 games taking place due to the FA Cup. 6 teams were blanking, and it was a strange game week in many respects. It was quite low scoring. We only had one team keep a clean sheet, which was Aston Villa, so well done if you got a Villa clean sheet. But we had a pretty low scoring game week. I mean, I only had 4 returning players out of 11, but I still came out with a green arrow, so that does show that it was a pretty low scoring week generally. But it was a week where Arsenal, of course, extended their lead to 8 points at the top, so with Manchester City in FA Cup action, it was Arsenal who took full advantage, and it was Saka who was the star of the show, wasn't it? So a big haul from Saka, and was it 18 points? It was a huge haul, really. So basically anybody who captained Saka was laughing last week. He was the real difference maker in the game week, wasn't he? So I had my armband on Harry Kane, who still got a goal, of course, but certainly Saka was the big success story of the week, wasn't he? But yeah, there were a few things happening elsewhere. Plenty of goals about. Leeds put 4 past Wolves, 4-2. They're right in the thick of the relegation battle, which is as intense as ever now, isn't it? Between about 8 or 9 clubs. But a few things happening managerial-wise. Spurs blew that 3-1 lead at Southampton, and we had that Conte rant at the end of it. And of course, he's gone now. That was almost inevitable. We've had Roy Hodgson back in at Crystal Palace. So that's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? So plenty happening on the managerial front. But it was a week where a lot of people sold Haaland because he wasn't playing. So the Haaland replacements, Watkins got an assist. Isak was the big success, wasn't he, really, with 2 goals for Newcastle. And so generally we wanted to stack those goals up from the Haaland replacements as much as we could, because the theory was that the Haaland replacements were going to get 3 games to Haaland's 1, but of course we had the FA Cup taking place as well, and Haaland followed up his 5 goals in the Champions League with 3 in the FA Cup. So anybody who's not got him, who sold him for going to go without him for the upcoming game week 29, those 3 games for his replacement will certainly be needed, because it's going to be a nervous watch, although of course his ownership will be quite a bit down, I would imagine, this week on what it would normally be. But so yeah, in terms of my game week 28, briefly before we look ahead, I scored 54 points, I think it was. I got the Saka points, but I didn't captain him, so that was a slight rank loss, I think, in the end, because he was well captained. I had the Kane goal as captain, I had a Watkins assist, and I had a goal for Martinelli, and that really was the difference between green and red, really, for me. So I was owning Zinchenko and Martinelli. in that Arsenal Palace game, and I was quite fearful because they both played 120 minutes in Europe just before it, so I was rather suspecting they might even be benched, and I think Gabriel and Ødegaard smash it and give me a bit of a pasting, but fortunately Martinelli outscored Ødegaard, which was a real lifesaver for me, and Zinchenko started as well, and he actually matched Gabriel. In fact, he almost got a sneaky little advantage. He was subbed after 63 minutes, was it? It was all set to be subbed with his clean sheet intact, but he just stayed on to defend a corner, of which Arsenal conceded, of course, so I almost had a sneaky gain there, but not to be. I did the Watkins to Haaland switch, and I brought Chilwell in as well, who I thought was quite unlucky. He looked quite good, but my Chelsea double clean sheet went, as did my Newcastle double clean sheet, so it seemed a week when putting 11 players out on the pitch was going to be quite a big advantage, but even though I got 11 on the pitch, I only just scraped an advantage, and many put 11 out and came out with a red arrow, so bit of a nothing week really, I think, unless you captained Saka. So yeah, on to game week 29, so as I said, there's quite a bit of the international break to go when I'm recording this, so injuries can change everything, of course. We got Rashford with a so-called injury, but he's out in New York shopping, so I don't think we'll read too much into that one. We've got Haaland. I think that's more of a genuine injury, so he's been in a Barcelona sister hospital having checks, and he pulled out of the Norway squad, and of course it was a Euro Championship qualifier, big game for Norway, especially against Spain, so I think the injury is a genuine one, but it'll be a case of whether he's fit. The latest I saw, he was in Marbella getting some sun, so personally the cynic in me says he'll probably play, but I suppose if you're a Haaland owner that could be a bit of a nervous one, but we'll see how that goes. Matty Cash seems to be the other one. He's picked up an injury, so we'll see how that all develops. Hopefully there's no more injuries, and it's quite a crucial time for no injuries really, because a lot of people now will be playing their bench boost in game week 29. It's the biggest double game week. We've got 12 teams doubling, and normally with an international break we'd be able to park at 1 or 2 injuries on our bench, wouldn't we? Not too much of an issue, but when you're bench boosting you need all 15 players, so if somebody does get injured then you're racking up an extra transfer, incurring extra hits, or if the injuries do pile up too much, potentially even postponing your bench boost. So it's going to be a bit of a nervous watch up to deadline, and all eyes on those pressers on Friday. But my own plan, I'll be planning to bench boost. As it stands at the moment, I've got 4 single game week players, I've got 3 Arsenal players and Harry Kane. I've only got 1 free transfer, so my current thought is to use 2 free transfers probably for -4, offload 2 of my Arsenal players and try and get 13 double game week players out, plus potentially Saka and Kane, which I think on the face of it will be a good double game week if I can get everybody out. But the big question mark is going to be, of course, the transfers to make, and particularly with Saka looking so good for England. For many people, Saka is the only route to get Bruno Fernandes in, and that's going to be a bit of a dilemma. Of course, Saka's in absolute scintillating form, but he doesn't have any more double game weeks left, whereas Bruno Fernandes has 3 double game weeks left, so I think that will be a popular transfer. But of course, Bruno's only got 5 goals all season. Saka's got 12 goals and 10 assists. He's absolutely on fire, so do you play the fixtures or do you play the form player? So that's a tough one. My initial plan was try to, if I'd not bought Chilwell last week, I could have rolled 2 transfers into this week, and I could have got Shaw in for Zinchenko and Bruno in for Martinelli and kept Saka, but now I've got Chilwell, that gives me that dilemma about what to do with Saka. I could go a bit cheaper on the Shaw replacement and still do Martinelli to Bruno, or I could just bring Maddison in for Martinelli as my extra doubler and sidestep Bruno. So there's certainly going to be a lot of big calls to make over this bench boost, so certainly lots to to think about, and certainly a lot of decisions to be made closer to the deadline. But we also had some more double game weeks announced over the international break as well, didn't we? So all the game week 28 postponed games for the FA Cup quarter-finals, they've now been moved into double game week 34. So that will be a double game week for a number of teams there. So anybody that's still got their wild card left, they can potentially avoid all this bench boost stress over the break, and they can maybe do a wild card 33, bench boost 34, or some might even fancy a free hit in game week 34 with those doubles as well. But my own current thinking is to probably still free hit in game week 32, because of course the likes of Manchester United, Brighton, Manchester City, they're going to Chelsea, they're going to be blanking in game week 32, and they're all very good FPL assets, and they're going to have doubles in game week 29. They're going to have some of them, 3 of them. They're going to have doubles in 34 and 37. So if you can use those players, they're great FPL assets. You can get the doubles out of them before and after game week 32, and you can still free hit in 32 and not have to worry about the fact that you might have 6, 7, 8 of them blanking in game week 32. So that's probably my plan at the moment, to free hit in game week 32. So we shall see. But yeah, plenty still to think about as regards this upcoming double game week. Whether you're bench boosting or not, there'll be captaincy dilemmas, of course. So I think you always tend to favour a double game week player, don't you, really? I mean, you could go for an Arsenal player. Arsenal play Leeds, which makes it even more nerve-wracking, taking Arsenal players out ahead of a home match against Leeds as part of bringing in a double game week player. So that's going to be a tough dilemma for many. But the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard, they can still go big against Leeds. But I think in terms of captaincy, I think Rashford and Bruno for Manchester United in their double will be popular. And I think the 3 Brighton players, really, the 3 M's, McAllister, Mitoma and March, they're going to be popular with Brighton on a double game week. Lots of people talking about tripling up on those Brighton mids at the moment, which is no bad thing with the form that they're in. And I think if you want another M, you've probably got Maddison as well. So I think captaincy will be quite split this week. But as I said, the main focus will be watching the rest of the international break play out and see how the injuries play out, particularly around some of the key players. And then we'll see if we've got enough players to put a bench boost together. But certainly some tough decisions for me and tough decisions for a lot of people in terms of the transfers to make this week. So if you want to follow my team more closely, I'll be back between each game week. So I'll be back after game week 29 when it's all over, and I'll be doing these videos after every game week. You can follow me on Twitter at FPL Witty, and I'll be doing regular weekly articles for Fantasy Football Geek as well. My own rank, I managed to have another green arrow last week on my 54 points, so I was up from about 230 to 210. That's 2 in a row now. I was 350, and I've managed to climb up to 210 over the last 2 weeks, so it's much needed, because I was on 4 red arrows in a row, which had really knocked me back from being in the top, around the top 100k up to that point. So hoping for a 3rd green arrow in a row with a bench boost. Be disappointed if I don't, but lots of dangers there, certainly by not owning Haaland and not owning 1 or 2 of those Arsenal players against Leeds. So we'll see how that plays out. So hope you enjoy the rest of the international break. I wish you good luck in game week 29. Be back to talk about it next week. So I'll leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as they say in Barnsley, I'll see thee.